Hey, this is Matt once again. What about the other videos? This is another paid request. This time for Guillermo. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of reviews or re-reviews, topics, reactions, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for a film called The Prey, Legend of Karnoctus. This was really bad. It gets a 3.5 on IMDb. I totally get why. And I will say, because Guillermo requested a couple films. There's another film called Death Valley he requested from 2021. I would say this is better than that movie, because Death Valley is just a very boring film. This, at least, is a couple pauses, I'll say. The creature is very unique looking, although it's very goofy looking too. I appreciate it's a man in a suit. I appreciate it's a practical effect, but it looks like an alien Bigfoot with like a blue purple face. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, it's unique looking, but at the same time, it's like I can't take it seriously. And I think this should have been much. It does play off a bit comedic at times. I really like the lead guy, Nick Chinland. Nick Chinland. You remember Con Air? Remember the guy who Nick Cage goes up and goes, "Put the body back in the box," and gets in a fight with a bad guy? That bad guy is Nick Chinland. He's been in other stuff too. He was on a creepy episode of The X-Files where he played a killer that would collect hair and fingernails and dead things and went after Scully. Nick Chinland, was it Donnie Faster? I forget the character's name on that show. But he did a nice job. I wish he was in a better horror monster movie. Because I'm a sucker for action monster movies. This takes place in Afghanistan. Nick Chinland's with a group who want to, as you find out, steal this gold. They do. They decide to hide it in a cave until his buddies get this helicopter. Meanwhile, you have these soldiers that then get attacked, and they escape in this cave, and these two groups meet together. You have Nick Chinland and his buddy, and then you have the soldiers. You look at the poster, and it showcases that it's got Danny Trejo. It's got Adrian Paul, who was the lead in the Highlander TV series. Duncan MacLeod. They're not in it, like, they're in it for less than 5 minutes. Or, I'll say 5 minutes to be fair. 5 minutes. And then they leave. They literally leave the movie. And so you're advertising, if the group involved Adrian Paul and Danny Trejo and Nick Chinland, and you'd have a couple more people who are cannon fodder, have 7, 8, 9 of them, or 6, whatever. Or yeah, you have the other soldiers as well. But have a good chunk of the movie, have these guys you're advertising. And their rapport with each other. I think that could have made a much more entertaining movie. But that's sadly not the case. Instead, you get this shit rap song at the beginning. You get what looks like Newgrounds. Remember Newgrounds? The website back to the day? You see that flash animation? That's what it looks like here, where it's showing our main characters, and even at the very, very end of the film, it shows Danny Trejo and Adrian Paul and this old guy in a helicopter going back to the cave in this shit flashpoint flash animation, Newground. To be continued. I'm like, fuck, this ain't gonna be continued. Kiss my ass. I know I spoiled that, but I don't care. This film sadly ain't worth the crap. Like I said, you have your heist with Nick Chinland and Danny Trejo and Adrian Paul. I'm like, why not have more of them? Why not have them be the leads? Like, Nick is the lead, have the other guys be the lead. And they're mercenaries. Adrian Paul's a sniper. They did in this battle. But it's very cheap. the gun effects. This stuff is very cheap, and the rapport, the little bits you get of Nick Chinland and Danny Trejo, like they're making fun of, you shot the wall. No, I didn't shoot the wall. You shot the wall. Or Nick Chinland threw a grenade at a bad guy and scared him off, but it wasn't real, so Nick's able to shoot the guy, and you find out that the grenade is a lighter. Little bits here and there. And even when you get to the other soldiers and their plight, they try to make us relate to the characters because they're talking about toys and video games of the 80s. What's the best video game? Zelda. No, Street Fighter. No, Contra. What's the best 80s toys? Captain Planet. No, Star Wars. Star Wars sucked. Well, it's true. It does suck now. G.I. Joe. No, Snake Eyes. What about Snake Eyes versus Yoda? Oh, Snake Eyes would beat that little frog. I just see that working. But give that dialogue to Danny Trejo. Give that dialogue to Adrian Paul. It would have been so much funnier if these hardcore mercenaries go through a battle and then after they're carrying the gold, they have to stop the rest, and then they get Adrian. Like, wouldn't it be a much more fun bit if it was Adrian Paul and Danny Trejo arguing on what was the best 80s toy or video game or something? I think that'd be kind of fun and potentially funny. But no, instead, after the lower action scene, Adrian Paul, this old guy, and Danny Trejo get into a truck and they drive away, and you never see them again unless a animation version of themselves with no dialogue at the very, very end to show that they're coming back to that cave. To be continued. Like, what the fuck? Instead, a good chunk of the film is Nick Chinland and this big guy. I think this big guy, big buff black guy, I think he was in the Underworld films. I could be wrong on that. Kevin Graveau. He has a very deep, deep voice, like the type of guy that's got like 10 testicles. He don't like this. Like, seriously. I got, 15 testicles. I'm talking like this. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I didn't know a human being could have that voice, but he does. He's got testicles the size of watermelons. If you put them on your face, it crushes you like a grape. He's with Nick Chinland, and they're in the cave. Meanwhile, the soldiers get attacked. Some of them get killed. They run to this cave. And a good chunk of the movie is them wandering the cave. And you don't see a lot of the monster until you see like little hints here and there, but it doesn't really kick in the gear with the monster until like an hour in. I mean, at the very, very beginning, there's some people in a cave and they die. Kind of they get dragged away from the monster. They figure we'll put it at the very, very beginning, because you don't wait a fucking hour until the monster comes back into full force. You get a little snippet here, a little snippet there. You know what? That could work. Predator. Look at Predator. But this ain't fucking Predator. Ain't that case. Not the way it looks. The soldiers. I didn't care about the soldiers. And that's one of the problems. Is that, well, I like Nick Chinland. And he's trying, man. I think Nick Chinland looked at and said, I get to be the raspy voiced badass mercenary, and I get to be the lead. And I can't think of another movie where Nick Chinland got to be the lead. And you can tell he's trying. You tell he's putting his all, and the being the macho, gruff, badass guy. I think he pulls it off well. Like I say, he's easily the best part of the movie. Sadly, he's in a shit movie like this. There's another movie which I didn't mind for what it was, that The Lair, which is also Guillermo wanted me to talk about, which is a Neil Marshall film, which also dealt with Afghanistan and also dealt with soldiers fighting a monster. There must have been some note that I didn't catch of Afghanistan and monsters. Or you know what? I forgot to bring it over here. There's a video game called House of Ashes that I played on the channel. It's kind of like Until Dawn. You play soldiers. It's about Afghanistan. and they battle vampires. They look like the space vampires from Life Force. House of Ashes. Go watch that. Go watch a playthrough of that. That would make a cool movie if you had the budget for it. Or yeah, it would have been nice to hear Nick Chinland in that type of movie, voice wise. Sadly, that's not the case here. Nick Chinland, I liked. His buddy, I could deal with. The fantastic old guy. I could deal with him. The soldiers either have the bland lead guy. You have the black lady who's a bit bitchy at Nick Chinland's character. You have this guy with the glasses who got on my fucking nerves and is trying to be funny. Would you take Wonder Woman or Huntress? Would you take Leia or this? How about I take your ass out to be shot? I hated this character. Goofball with glasses. I swear he's trying to be fucking Matthew Lillard. And you're not Matthew Lillard. Okay? But this guy's trying hard to be, and he's failing. And the others, like, didn't give a shit about them. And like I said, a good chunk of it is them wandering around the caves, getting scared of these big camel spiders. They find a little lab, and this idiot opens up a fucking thing that literally has a big old warning sign, and this gas dissipates so that they can have hallucinations. And this whole hallucination thing felt like an unneeded subplot. It's like, well, we can't use the monster as much as we thought. We need something for the running time. So let's have these guys see weird hallucinations, like the goofball. He thinks he sees the light out. It's not there. He thinks he sees scantily clad women. Of course, they're not there. And so you have the soldiers who are just either bland or unlikable or annoying. You have a hallucination subplot that you're going, okay, that just makes the film even more, I don't want to say goofy, just, this is like padding out the running time. And you get a little bit of gore. One guy gets killed and we find his remains. He's been eaten in the middle, so he's split in half. This one guy that the creature slams and crushes a head. Although you barely see it because when the action happens, it's very shaky. And you can't tell what the fuck's going on. So it's like they have a man in a suit, and there are times you do see the monster clearly, but I guess the director either felt, I can't shoot a fight scene with this monster, or you should have. And you know what? I don't care how goofy you thought it would look. It will look better than what you shot here, where it's fucking this. And I'm on half speed. It's a lot faster. I hate when they do that. I actually want to know what the hell's going on. If you don't have a fight scene with monsters, I actually want to know what's going on. With this fucking Afghani Sasquatch, as one person describes it. And, you know, some of the people start getting killed off. Spoilers. Well, I always spoil it, but I don't care. Either one guy gets thrown against the wall, the goofball gets chased, and the creature digs a bit into his stomach, and you see a little bit of blood. The soldier, who's bland as hell, he survives. Super spoilers. The black lady survives. And she even says to Nick Chinland, "You were right." I'm like, damn straight he was right. And Nick, like I said, Nick Chinland is trying, but he needed a better director. He needed a better script. He needed production with a bit more money. He has a fun, over-the-top line to the creature, "I'm going to cut your balls off and use them as my door knocker." He's got a knife. And again, he's fighting it, but it's done so half shaky, cutty. You can't tell what's going on. So then, at the end of the day, He set up a bomb goes off. You don't even get that satisfying of a death with the creature. Which if Nick Chillen was like cutting the thing up and like found like a bigger, because there's an arsenal in it and someone even has a sword. You should have had Nick Chillen take the sword and be like, you know what? I think it was what, Adrian Paul's sword or someone's like, if I don't take this, he'll be pissed at me. He should have taken the sword with him so he pulls out later. And it's like you cut in the arm and then cut the legs and cut the head off the creature. This is a practical effect. You could do that. Okay, this is the last shot. You cut the arm off. You cut the legs off. You chop it like a tree. That would have been much more satisfying, but no. This explosion where you barely see shit. Again, the Blaine soldier, the lady made it out. Nick Chillen wakes up. Creature's dead. Turns. There's like 4, 5, 6 of them in the distance. And he's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Cut away to the shitty flash animation of, you can't hear them, but you see like comic book panel text of them. It can't call animation, it's just kind of still shots of them in a helicopter going back to the cave, to be continued. And apparently 4 people died of natural causes during the making of the film. Just like, you have a 9-minute credit sequence. Fucking 9 minutes. A 9-minute credit sequence where it's showing like 3 or 4 people pass away from natural causes during the making of the film. Showing the credits, showing a bunch of storyboards. Good for you. Shut up, stomach. And showing all this other stuff, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. And at the very end, trying to show like, these wannabe comic book panels of some of the events that happened, and I'm like, dude, if that's the case, it should have just been an animated film, or maybe you could have done more. This film is not going to get a fucking sequel, so your to be continued is pointless. It leaves you with a set of blue balls, because when you watch a film, you actually want to see the story end, and how the story ends, and it doesn't end. So I don't know how people thought this would be a satisfying ending. 2 of the 3 people you heavily advertised, the Highlander and Machete, are barely in the film, and then they're alive and they're coming back, and then it's not even them as cheap animation versions of them. You have a bunch of either unfunny, unlikable people in the cave, as well as Nick Chillen. Again, they wander around, don't do much. The action is shaky as fuck. The creature, I think a lot of people would laugh at the look of the creature. Again, looked like an alien Bigfoot. That's what it looked like, an alien Bigfoot. I appreciate it's a man in a suit and not CGI. I appreciate that, but 3.5 IMDb, I get it. Nick Chillen deserved better, and that's what pissed me off the most. Nick Chillen, pretty decent actor, usually just in bit parts, usually as a villain. And of course, Danny Trejo was in Con Air, so it's a reunion between Danny Trejo and Nick Chillen from Con Air. And Nick Chillen is wasted, and he's the only reason that kept me... Well, he kept watching because it was a paid request. But the only thing that kept me at all enjoyed on the minimal amount is Nick Chillen's performance. Like, he goes in this impassioned speech about the banks and how they fuck over people and how you think you're fighting for your country and it's really about this and that and what they lie to you and what the banks tell you. That was a nice impassioned speech with Nick Chillen, where he shows a bit of acting for this kind of movie. And again, he has some fun macho one-liners, and he deserved a better fucking movie, man. Much better movie. Like, there's like the 90s, and he did a film like Death Machine, or a bigger budget movie like The Relic. Like, he deserved a better monster movie than this. So, take that for you will. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later.